Lurker. Hey, it's Frank. What's up? What is up, Frank? Just dotting I's, bro. Just dotting I's. Luda, that's me. Brian, I'll tell you the story behind that. So, at the time when I was trying to create my username, I tried, this is eBay, I was trying like all these different words and names. And I tried like 15 of them, and I started getting pissed. And finally, I said, "This is ludicrous." And in high school, a bunch of people used to say "yes," and then I don't know, they spelled it Y-E-A-S for whatever reason, but it was pronounced "yes." And I said, "This is ludicrous," and I give it a yes. So I typed in "ludicrous yes," and lo and behold, it was available. And I've been rolling with it since like 2002, I think. It's been a while. Luda. Hello, you don't strike me as a Luda guy. Maybe more of a Toby Keith guy. Hella says that his tubes don't have eyes, but what is a tube actually trying to represent? I mean, this is obviously representing some sort of small fish that would have eyes, but a tube, who knows what the hell that is? Who knows what the hell that's supposed to be? An urchin. But I'm assuming it's something with eyes. I cannot like both. You certainly can. What about jigs with eyes? Like the David Walker jig. Uh, Luda might have gotten his name from me. I don't know. I don't think so. I think Luda came first. This is not a subject to bring up. Well, y'all remember not too long ago, the dude was on here. The guy that requested no eyes. Right. How do the baits not see the fish that are about to eat them? I don't know. I would not feel comfortable throwing an eyeless bait. I just like them personally, whether they matter or not. I would not like to look down at all of my baits and then be eyeless. Like if all my balsa crankbaits, all my Burns baits, if they were tied on and they didn't have eyes on them, it would bother me. Yeah, we're at this point we're not talking about fish. Who cares about fish? This isn't about fish. It's about ego, making us feel good. What what uh what gives us a little tingle down in our loins. But my my neighbor Mean Gene, he used to make jigs and he used to put eyes on them, and he was very very adamant that the eyes were key. The thing I liked about his eyes were they were big, like they were like cartoon bug eyes, like you put on a balsa bait. But I liked the little extra add of color because he always did like yellow. What's the main part of the eye called? Not the pupil, the iris. He would do like a yellow iris with like a hot pinky kind of fluorescent red pupil. And I always liked it when you like hop it and you get that little bit of flash from that. Not that it made, who knows if it made a difference, but he was there was a lot of guys that he dealt with that were very, very areola. Close enough. I think they can make a difference on a glide when it makes it look like the paint's looking back and see if something is trying to get it. Certainly. What about on jerk baits? Something that stopped and it's sitting there for an extended period of time. Did the bass look past the hooks deep into the eyes of the Vision 110 and say, "Ooh, you've got sexy downward-looking eyes," looking directly into 3 pieces of sharp metal hanging from your ass? Maybe that's the future. Maybe the future is like these alien baits that don't have any eyes or any like features. Still doesn't matter. Still doesn't matter. Burns. It's not very fun. Maybe it's the areolas they don't like. What's up, Brendan? I do like the idea of an eyeball adding some sort of flash like of color. I think it looks good. Get more bites? Maybe, maybe not. But I just thought of that while I was dotting I's. And I have some, so perfect example. I'm the truest speaker, but still put eyes on all the baits. Yeah, I would agree. So here's a prime example of a bait that needs eyes, but they don't. I just showed you. So what do you think this bait would look like if I just left it like that? This is one of those sinking glides. It's like a musky glide. You think the gentleman would be happy if I said, here you go, bro. You don't need eyes. You don't need eyes, dude. We talked about it on the stream. We figured eyes don't matter. So I have to figure out some sort of eyes to put on this because this was a printed bait from Rapala and they had the eyes printed on. So I'm gonna have to stick on some eyes, I guess. We'll see. I don't know yet. I'm kind of confused. But these are really ugly. Some of them. That one's pretty. Old redhead. The biggest, goofiest eyes I can find. Look at this bomber. The camo TK shirt. These were a special run for myself. I have to watch it on my camo because I always wear conflicting camo patterns. But I would probably like to do another run of these. This is probably my favorite one I've got. I just like the colors because it's like bluey, drab green camo. It's good. Darius went a little heavy on the hook split rings because he's planning on hauling the meat, the big meat. What am I looking for? Eyeballs, big ones. Chris, you like these eyes? Like the wild looking prism eyes? I could put those on there. Let's see what we have here. I need some big ones. Those aren't bad. These might fit. These will look so lame though. Wow, that looks terrible. I got these for redoing Pat's, and they're like the worst looking eye you've ever seen in your life. But it's kind of fitting of the bait. But they are terrible looking. I don't think I want to put that in there. I don't think I want to use that one. But I might have to because the eye size is weird. Got giant eyes. Here's some. Here's some eyes. What size are these? Oh, those will work, I think. Try not to lose them. Quarter size eyes. I have some. But those are too big. I could just fill up the whole hole. I don't know. This is stressing me out. Let's see here. Let's see how these look. Looks pretty good. It looks like something now. All right, so I'll roll with those. How am I going to adhere these? Maybe I'll mix up some epoxy. All right, so those go on that bait. Now I got to figure out the other two. Let's see. Yeah, I bought these stupid ass eyes because I was painting a lot of Pat's swim baits, and they have a real weird eye size. And for whatever reason, like if you paint a Pat's like a simple color, they kind of need the original Pat's eyes in them to look like a Pat's. Like when you start putting fancy eyes in them and different looking eyes, it kind of doesn't look patty. So I had to hunt those things down. And I've got a damn million of them. I think I've only ever put them on Pat's. But let's see here. Is there any? Here's some big eyes. What are these? I've only got one. What a waste. This is all my little special eyes. Dude, I've been having anxiety about these eyes since I started painting them because in the back of my mind the whole time I was thinking, I don't know if you have eyes for those. Because I realized that I couldn't paint the eyes on. And I was going to have to stick on eyes. Let's see what else I can dig up in the vault. Those won't work. Here we go. What are these? So you were really saying no matter how good the paint job you do on a Pats, you still have to make the Pat look dumb. Pretty much. Pretty much. I can't tell you how many Pats I painted that the paint job on anything else would have looked so awesome, but because it was a dumbass Pats, it looked like total shit. Oh, these are like a millimeter too big. Oh, I got a smaller size. Perfect. So I'll tell you something interesting about this bait. It's a bomber. Something another. Guy just wanted kind of like a silvery black back. I guess it's saltwater stuff. I don't know. But I had to strip it. The stuff, the stuff that you don't see was I had all these baits lined up to paint, and I had them prepped. They were hanging up, and they were just ready for me to start putting paint on them. Well, the first coat that hit them, this one wrinkled up. This one wrinkled up. This one wrinkled up. And this one wrinkled up. So I had 4 or 5 baits that actually it was more than that because I had two magic swimmers. I don't know what they're doing, but the coatings that they're putting on baits now are, I feel like they're getting shittier and shittier. But so I had to take those out of the paint room, get the paint off of them, get all the ratty clear coat off that was wrinkling up, and redo them, and then get them ready for paint again. But this one, whatever the coating was on it, came off with lacquer thinner, but the plastic is like bulletproof, dude. It wrinkled. It looked like a prune, like a raisin. So when you hit it with solvent and it reacts, it wrinkles up. It happens constantly. It happens more now than it ever has. I don't know what these manufacturers have switched to in the clear coat world, but it's obviously not as good as a lot of stuff that they used to use. Because like old Lucky Crafts, you could blast those things, and their clear was super strong. Strike King, Strike Kings are starting to wrinkle now. Some of them, not the actual Costa Rican ones, like the Hybrid Hunters. I've had a couple of the Hybrid Hunters wrinkle up. But I'm trying to think what else. Some Lucky Craft, some of the older CBs will do it. What else? What else is famous? Certain things like Lucky Crafts, some of their crawfish, when the cross stencil is pressed on there, some of the pad press, some of those inks and dyes or whatever they use to press on the crawl marks, those will wrinkle. But now I feel like everything does. Yeah, it's really not the paint typically. It's typically the clear coat that wrinkles. It's the clear coat. The paints are all typically the same. But like if you notice on some of the old bombers, the bombers will wrinkle up, and it's a lot of it because some of the paint's enamel. And it gets real goofy. So yeah, I don't know. It seems like the coatings world is getting pretty weak. Um, I moved into an apartment one and sprayed everything down with Lysol. The kitchen cabinets paint wrinkled up. It straightened up a few days, but I figured I was going to lose the deposit. That Lysol, I guess there's alcohol in it, and it was some sort of latex paint. But I mean, Lysol is a pretty standard cleaner. I wouldn't think it's that big a deal. Um, I don't think you should lose your deposit over cleaning. You know what I mean? Um, yeah, I listen to the radio while I paint. I listen to the radio. That's about it. It's really funny now if you listen to the radio and you grew up listening to the radio. It's so lame because back in the day, uh, people would call in and they would request music. Well, now they play these requests like they're live, like the DJ person is like talking to them, and it's so bad because uh, you can tell the person isn't real, and it's always this like creepy sounding person. They're like, "Hey, can you play the Foo Fighters?" Oh yeah, sure, we'll get that on for you. Coming up after this, Led Zeppelin, and so I hear that shit every day. Makes me cringe. Lucky there is someone even in the studio. They're probably not, Dustin. They're probably at home sitting in front of a computer. If I had to bet. If I had to bet. Okay. Those are on. All right, big glidey thing. Ready for action. I guess I'm gonna have to use epoxy on this other stuff. I need 5 minutes though. Have any recommendations? Old school rock. You mean like bands? Or I actually listen to like local radio stations, so uh, believe it or not, we share the same name. TK 101 is what I listen to. Um, classic rock, dude. I mean, I could go. Yeah, what's classic rock to you? Is that like is that like grunge, like Nirvana, or is classic rock like Limp Bizkit? uh, yeah, we still got AMs. We still got AM stations. They're just like uh, they're usually like religious or news. Um, Jeremy, I used to pay for Sirius XM just to listen to Stern. He suckered me in, and I didn't buy it for years. And then I moved home, and I was driving around a lot, and I was like, dude, I got to hear Stern, so I paid for it. Brent does it off with a nookie. Brennan was blasting break stuff on repeat while he was all his baits were fisheye. Tom, you won't see it from the factory. You'll see it when, or I'll see it when I blast lacquer all over it. They look perfect from the factory. They just don't like lacquer over the top of them. Never a fan of Nirvana. I'm a Nirvana fan. I like Nirvana a lot. But I don't know. They were edgy. Kid Rock. The only Kid Rock song, well, he had a couple, but the Bull God was a really good Kid Rock song. I'm trying to think any of those. Like I never got into Korn. I know Korn was real big, but I never got into Korn during that era of whatever you call that rock. What was the name of that genre? Rap rock, or was it even rap rock? I thought it was something else. I thought they had a different term for the Korns and the Limp Bizkits and the whoever else. Stain got lumped into that somehow. I've just recently started to listening to some secular music. You're such a rebel, Brendan. Next thing you know, you're going to have your hair grown long. Mustache. Broke both ankles in a Korn mosh pit. Double ankle surgery. Dude, you were thrashing. Were you doing, Chris, were you doing the windmill? Just pelting people? I can't lie, Zatina hated Nirvana. Only reason they would play Nirvana over and over on the box, but later I appreciate. Yeah, they did used to get a lot of airplay. The old fishing partner Jody would never let me listen to Nirvana, especially if we were going like to a tournament or like fishing or something. He would immediately like turn it off. He's like, "We're not listening to that." I'm like, "What's your problem with Nirvana, dude?" And he's like, "Listen, when I was a kid, my brother was like a few years older than me, and he turned like 15 and got his permit. And we'd like drive around on the parents' property or whatever, or we'd like go up to the store or whatever." And he's like, "My brother would play Nirvana. He had a Nirvana tape, and he would play this Nirvana tape. And he said every time we listened to Nirvana, some like bad shit would happen." I was like, "Really?" And he's like, "Yes." And he's like, "And we only had bad luck in the car when he was playing Nirvana." He's like, "We can't listen to Nirvana." I was like, "Okay." So Alana, she was great. Blue Oyster Cult. I was with 6 NFL linemen. What a story I have. 200,000 people that decided to be up front. Punches were flying. Wow. Passed me off the first time in classic rock session. Yeah, Dustin, I was wondering about that because I don't feel like I feel like about the latest that classic rock, where classic rock stops on classic rock radio, I feel like is Guns N' Roses and Nirvana. And I feel like Nirvana is the most recent of anything. It's Guns N' Roses and Nirvana are the most recent inductees into the classic rock radio. I can't think of anybody else that they play. But Bob, I got into like Mighty Mighty Bosstones for a little bit. Yeah. They were fun. It's the impression that I get. I was listening to Pennywise last night, and Amy was like, "Can you shut that off?" And I was like, "Why?" And she was like, "It's awful." It's like, "You don't like Pennywise?" And she was like, "No." It's like, okay. So I said, "Give me your ear pods." So she gave me her ear pods, and she was like, "I can hear that through your ear pods." I'm like, "It's not that loud, dude." Shania, ooh, she was a little tall drink of water back in the day. Brian, Kurt Cobain ripped plenty of solos. As juvenile as they may have been, there's certainly guitar solos in Nirvana music. Come As You Are's got one. Um, my vibrating trunk, bumping rap music would have drowned out rock music, probably. Oh yeah, Alice in Chains, they fit in there. Pearl Jam, all classic rockers. Uh, but I don't hear it on our classic rock station. I don't. I might. You might catch an Alice in Chains song, maybe a Pearl Jam, but I haven't heard STP on anything. Uh, Southern rock is. I got into what was that band? Sang Greengrass and High Tides. They were badass though. Kenny Wayne Shepherd's good. I was. I knew his. I knew, when I was in Austin, his guitar tech would come over to our shop. He's a pretty cool dude. His name's Dustin. He had a lot of. He had a lot of cool rock rock stories, like when Kenny Wayne bought. I think he bought at auction Jimi Hendrix's Fuzz Face pedal, and it was used like I don't know if it was like the one he used at Woodstock, or it had some like huge pedigree, and he like dropped it off at Dustin's house, and he's like, "Here, get this working," or he was like, "Clean this thing up." So he's like, "What is it?" And he's like, "This is Hendrix's Fuzz Face." And he's like, "In my house?" And he's like, "Yeah." So I think the dude paid like 100 grand for it or something stupid. And Dustin said he hooked it up and like hit the button and like nothing happened, and like dicked around with it and it was like completely dead. And he's like, "Damn, this dude just spent $100,000 on a Fuzz Face that doesn't work." But I think he eventually got it working. But upon arrival, it did not work. Um, Frogman's a good song. Whiskey Myers, they're pretty decent band. Brennan, it really was, dude. Like, uh, there was a lot of. There's a guy named Turk Pipkin. He was a I don't know what you'd call him, philanthropist, author. He was a lot of things, but uh, most notably, he was Willie Nelson's best friend, and he wrote a book about him called the Tao of Willie Nelson. And I used to paint in this. I used to paint in this storage unit, and I had a table set up right in when you open up the door. And then there was my buddy's Italian ice business freezers. Went down one wall. I was in the front with my little table and my compressor. Um, and then the rest of the storage unit was like pallets and pallets of this Willie Nelson book. And the guy called me one day. He got my number, and he's like, "Hey, are you going to be down there at the storage unit?" I was like, "Yeah." And he said, "I'm going to come down there and look at some books." I said, "Okay." So he meets me down there and gets out. Big, tall guy, white hair. He gets out, shake his hand. He's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm painting fishing lures." He's like, "Is that your job?" I said, "Kinda." It's like I work at Sherwin-Williams part of the time, and I come over here and paint baits. He's like, I got a little creek behind my house. I go out and fish in. I'm like, really? He's like, yeah. It's up in the hill country. I was like, that's cool. He said, I have to get some of these. So, let me know. So anyway, he starts digging through his books, and I'm like, are those all yours? He's like, yeah. He said, I'm grabbing a couple to take some of my friends. And he's like, you want one? I was like, sure. He's like, here you go. So well, so let's trade services. It's like, I'll I'll give you a bait for a book. And he was like, okay, that's fair. And I said, how'd you get all these books? I said, this is a lot. And he said, I wrote it. I was like, oh really? And I looked at the book. I was like, you're Turk? And he was like, yeah. I was like, how about that shit? I was like, so do you know Willie, or did you just like ghostwrite this thing or something? And he's like, I've been playing poker with that fucker for 40 years. I was like, really? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm actually taking one of these to him. I was like, how about that? So, further down the road, we end up going to getting the invite to go to Luck, Texas, which is Willie's Ranch, and we spend Easter at Willie's Ranch. Pretty awesome. So you can probably look up if you're bored, you can look up Luck, Texas Easter celebration, and they have like it's like an invite only thing. Um, but it was cool. Um, Green Day did not impress you. I don't like Billy Joe. He's always seemed like a little whiny bitch. Um, Willie's got to be like 90, dude. He's getting old. Offspring and Filter. Brian, I actually watched Offspring perform uh, on YouTube. I watched a YouTube video of Offspring perform last night just to see, because I'd never heard them live and I wanted to see how they sounded. They didn't sound terrible. The dude's voice is still pretty decent. Um, I didn't hate them. I'm sure they've had some loser performances, but who else did you say? Blur? Uh, Filter. Knew I should have met you. Hey man, nice shot. You can't sing that song for 30 years and be able to maintain that hey man, nice shot scream. Willie was born in 1933. Wow. He is a fossil. I knew I should have met you. Or whatever he says. Cross Canadian Ragweed. Hadn't heard of them in a few days. They were pretty popular for like a year or two. What happened to them? Um, Sunglasses at Night, and he nailed it on the show in Minnesota. I went to a comedy show once. Comic asked a drunk heckler what his favorite bands were, and he yelled out Moist Hole and Bush. That's pretty funny. That is pretty funny. Skinner, ZZ, Molly Hatchet, all great. I mean, does ZZ Top fall into? Do they qualify as Southern rock, or are they just rock? Jeremy, I think I need to practice my blow gunning. Um, another thing about when I was that was what was so badass about Austin. Um, they like Billy Gibbons used to put on a show, and they wouldn't like advertise it, but it was like this dumbass sounding name of a band, and it was like him and like maybe Jimmy Vaughn and like some girl and like a couple other people like formed this like super group, and they would do like a couple shows at like the Continental Club or somewhere else like in Austin, and like they would advertise it like a couple days before the show or the day before the show. They'd be like, "Oh, so and so is playing at the Continental Club," and if you showed up not knowing who this band was, and like Billy Gibbons walks out and Jimmy Vaughn, and they would do these like pop up shows. It's pretty badass. Um, Chevelle was the best show you've seen. I'm trying to think the best concert I've ever seen. Ever. Ever. Incubus was great. I saw them a ton though. I saw Skinner and ZZ Top in like '97. They were good. They were just loud. Um, I saw Stone Temple Pilots and Dead Z and uh, Static X on the Family Values tour. Who else? Who else was good? I don't know how to think about that. I have to go through all my concerts. I saw Dwight Yoakam. I was actually working at a bar, bartending. Dwight showed up and played. That was cool. Um, I didn't know Chevelle was so good live. I'll have to look them up. I just like people whose voices sound accurate to albums. It really, it really irks me when I go to hear somebody live and they don't even sound like themselves. Um, I don't need a blowgun, and I don't need to go to Florida. BBC is sending me an iguana. Drive my Chevy to the levee. That who is that song? I never saw Nugent live. Like I said, being in Mobile, we never got like huge acts, and Pensacola would get pretty decent acts, but they never even got really big ones. Um, Don McLean. I thought I was about to say Don Henley. I was like, it's not Don Henley. Don McLean. What's up, JP? Who's your favorite band? Who's the best band you've ever seen live? If you go to those type of things, if you partake in that type of activity, South Jersey, what kind of music do you listen to? What's your favorite? If you had one album to listen to the rest of your life, what would it be? I saw Shinedown a month ago. The lead singer Brett sounds better live on the album. Wow. Uh, 3 Days Grace. That dude's really terrible. But I think he's got like a substance abuse problem. But like on his albums sound awesome, but live he's got some issues. I'm still amazed that I'm still amazed that James Hetfield was ever able to get his voice back, because he went through some shitty years. Papa Het, as they call him. Papa Het. Three Days Grace got a different singer now. South Jersey likes underground rap. He likes his music like he likes his baits. Underground. He's a man of the oddities. What's underground though? Like, y'all like shit that's so underground that there's like some kid like in Mobile, Alabama that's got like an Instagram page and he's like an up and coming rapper and he's got like 3 songs on his Instagram page and that's the only place that you can hear him. Is that like the most underground you could find? Like, would that be awesome? If you could find a guy that is on the gram that's got like 200 followers and he's trying to make it, and you find him when he's at 200 followers, is that like the cream of the crop? Test out some tubes. Gator, I can go ahead and tell you that you're going to catch them because a tube is about the fish catchingest bait ever made. All right, so let's see if I can do this. Come on, dick. Sorry, I'm gonna have to go. I'm gonna have to go silent for a second until I get these eyes put on. I'm on the clock. Sorry for the radio silence. Perfect. All right. Just hope they don't slide. Come on, Brady dick. All right. Got him. Sure, Brendan. I'll send it to you. Rap Now Sucks has since the early 2000s, and underground rap just means guys that are slept on are usually pretty new to the scene, or they get overlooked. I know a guy from Jersey called Dash. He's Damien Dash's cousin. Only rap I know right now is Tech Nine. What bait is that? South Jersey? I don't know. This is like a Rapala sub walk type thing, like the big one. I forget. I don't know what the popular term, what the proper terminology for this is. The guy sent me that one. He said this big bomber thing. I was never a huge rap hip hop fan, with the exception of two people: Project Pat and 3 6 Mafia. Dude, I would blow my eardrums off listening to 3 6 Mafia and Project Pat. All right. Next. Gotta work in prison to learn real quick. All right. Suicide Boys have not. Is that a gliding rap? Is what that one's called, Chris? I think the dude's in Miami, so I'm assuming those are going for salty fish. Pretty much the new version. Are they from Memphis? Are they from somewhere else? Snook bait. Interesting. Very interesting. Ooh, Louisiana. Cash Money area. I did listen to Cash Money a little bit. The 6th Ward. How about that? Let's look them up. With a name like Suicide Boys, they sound dark like 3 6 Mafia, which I like. Like all of 3 6 Mafia's music was always like very dark and cryptic and like creepy. I like dark and creepy. No limit. Kyle, I don't think you can live in the South without listening to Cash Money. You save any whiskey for your men or beer for your horses from last night? No, I am maxed out, Tim. I can't believe nobody commented, Tim, that we had an entire conversation in nothing but Toby Keith songs for a damn hour. I felt like we should have won a prize for that. Brian, you were a CD burner? There was a guy in my high school that used to sell CDs. I'd just give them away because I wanted to force my music on people. Sticker prize on the way. Hella, you didn't even acknowledge the script that we were writing out on your chat that was legendary. People will go back and read through that chat 20 years from now and say, damn, that Tackle Craft and Tim Maynard guy. They really like Toby Keith. Frank, it was just us talking back and forth to each other, and every time we'd write something, it would have a Toby Keith song reference in it. I wasn't on Vape Man. I was on Hellas. Aren't they the same though? Too busy bromancing. Yeah, we couldn't hear. Does that mean? I mean, all that was linked, though, right? Like Hella's chat and Bateman chat were not two separate things. We carried that as long as two gentlemen scholars possibly could. Yeah, it was pretty intense. When the stream ended, I was like, "Damn, good." I was starting to run out of ammo. I said, "How am I gonna be able to continue this?" Tim's gonna get the last word. The chats are separate. Really? So Bateman had his own chat on his channel with all different people? Oh, I thought they would have been. You're basically correct, Jeremy. I like the Menendez stuff. I would have only been able to tell you about one Charlie Daniels song. I'm not a Charlie Daniels enthusiast. I used to listen to a lot of Jerry Reed, though. Mainly because he was the Bill Dance VHS Fishing with the Stars. Y'all ever watch that? So up at our lake house, we didn't have satellite or any kind of TV forever, and like you could put an antenna up. Like we had this big giant antenna, and you get like one channel sometimes. Um, but for the most part, you just had to watch like VHS tapes and shit. And I had this Bill Dance Fishing with the Stars VHS tape, and it had Jerry Reed on it, and it had Mel Tillis, and I think that was about it. But it was awesome, dude. It was awesome. It's still probably one of my favorite. It is still probably my favorite fishing movie or like fishing show of all time. Yeah, when Bill throws Jerry's big bass back. My bass is gone. Yeah, it doesn't get any better than that one, dude. And Mel Tillis sitting on the bank with the straw hat and the cane pole. I'm a carp man. I'm a carp man. We used to joke about that all the time. Bateman has sold his soul. It happens. It happens. Jim, best concert. Let's hear it. And don't say like the Rat Pack or something. I feel like you're gonna. I feel like you're gonna throw back something real far. Four toad thumpers and some of the new Freedom Tackle spinnerbaits last night. Let us know how squishy yours are, Travis. I'll be interested what your air relief is. Travis, is this color Topwater Enthusiast approved? Summer Jam 73 of Watkins Glen. You didn't go back as far as I thought you would. Tim, you like Mel McDaniel? That was my shit in high school, dude. My best friend growing up, his dad, they had a beach house down at Fort Morgan, and they used to go down to this bar right down the road from his house. His dad would go down there and drink, and John Anderson had a house down at Fort Morgan, and John Anderson would go in the same bar. And John Anderson's one of those people that like he could probably walk in a lot of rooms and nobody would know who he was. But as soon as you played like, Seminole Wind or something, everybody'd be like, "Oh, John Anderson, yeah." Like they'd know his music, but they probably wouldn't know his face. So John Anderson would just go down to this bar in Fort Morgan and just sit down there and get slammered. And he got to be like good buddies with my buddy's dad, and we got to talking one day, and he's like, "Yeah, me and old John, we're gonna go do something. I'm gonna go help him work on something at his house." We're like, "Who's this John guy you keep hanging out with?" He's like, "Oh, John Anderson, country singer." You're friends with John Anderson? He's like, "Yeah." We're like, "Oh." So yeah, he was like for like a whole summer or two, he was like hanging out with John Anderson, and nobody knew it, and he was just like real the kind of passive about it. It was pretty funny. But yeah, we used to go down here and shoot skeets and listen to the damn John Anderson all the time. Grateful Dead and the band, 3 days long, bigger than Woodstock. Jim, who'd you go for? The Allman Bros, the Dead, the band? Do you listen to any sax players? No. Closest I get's maybe Trombone Shorty, but not really. Jazz isn't my thing. It's too weird. It doesn't make any sense to my ear musically. I guess I'm a musically I'm a plebe when it comes to not making like on paper jazz is too weird for me. Like it doesn't sound musical, like it does. But who is your favorite out of the three, though, Jim? My friend's dad had a hunting camp. He called his son and bugged him to come out. He wouldn't. The third call, the son says, "Who's seen?" Craig Morgan was there just hanging out. Damn, that's pretty awesome. Um, I need suggestions for. Hold on. I need suggestions for widely available spinnerbaits with a tough wire. No musky spinnerbaits. Already own some of those. With a heavy wire? You want a heavy wired spinnerbait? Widely available. I would think of I would think a Strike King would have heavy wire. I would think a Booyah would have heavy wire. I would think probably the cheaper the spinnerbait, the heavier the wire would be. Um, the Allman Bros. That's what I was thinking, Dustin. The cheaper the spinnerbait, typically the heavier the wire. Um, we were talking when speaking of hooks, when Hella mentioned the Dull Hook Gang, but I like my hooks a little dull so they don't stick on stuff. I got to thinking, how many fish are caught on a damn spinnerbait or a buzzbait that's like 20 years old, that has never been sharpened, that's hung all kinds of shit, that has never seen a file or anything? Like that hook is not razor sharp, but you still continually throw it. Like I might catch shit about not, throwing sharp treble hooks, like sticky sharp, but I don't feel like a like half the spinner baits people throw or buzz baits are not finely tuned points. I understand that treble hook is easier to dull because it's smaller and it would dull quicker, but the amount of time that like buzz baits and spinner baits get thrown that you have for like a pretty substantial amount of time. I feel like everybody's throwing dull hooks. Somehow it works though, Jeremy. I don't know. Uh, no Walmart suggestions. I live in Canada. Walmart is not a good place for fishing. Oh. I don't. I don't know then. Maybe they like the taste of rust. Maybe they leave a rust trail behind. It's the key. Uh, Northland Reef Runner. Is that with the little squiggly skirt? Dude, I used to love the way those looked, but they would always do one thing to it and like make it look like ass. Um, there was always one thing that would throw them off. Like the heads had like the cool looking eyes, everything about them looked cool. And then they would put like one like purple blade on it or something. It's like, dude, I don't want that damn purple blade on it. And you couldn't get it off because it would be like the front blade. Um, Anything over 3/8. Yeah, I think that's definitely. Uh, I think that's the one, Dustin. Good call. And those are pretty cheap too, or they used to be. They used to be real cheap. But those were good spinner baits. If they could get their head out of their ass and stop doing like weird stuff to it. Northland. Well, I guess now we wait. Wait for eyes to dry. Probably sign these baits. Dude, I got some bluegills to. I got some bluegills I painted yesterday. They chub me up a little bit. They're pretty damn good. Pretty damn good. Megalodon Frankenetalier. Good question. Good question. Haywire Twisted Spinnerbait would be a good option. Maybe. All right. Those are just about ready. Okay, I need to sign these, but I need some sort of holding mechanism. Hemostats it is. BGC, yeah. How do you know, Jeremy? Like this is one of them. This isn't one I'm talking about, but the ones I did yesterday make this look like damn finger paint. Um, they're out there in the paint room. They'll look better clean. Actually, they probably would look better now without the clear on it because you wouldn't see a reflection. Um, for pike fishing, use 30 to 80 pound fluoro leaders, except when I'm throwing topwater baits or trebles. 40 pound line for that. Oh, I showed you before they went to paint. Correct. But these are the first two I did. That one and that one. And these are pretty vanilla. But I did a real dark one that was a wee bit challenging because it's hard to get dark without getting muddy and still being able to see color. But yeah, I just got done dotting I's burns. I'm trying to get baits signed to get everything ready for clear coat. I got your little these little things painted. Got them signed. The new little gill from 10 years ago looks pretty sexy on these little baits. Wouldn't you agree, Burns? I like it. Give BGC that he does the right size gills. I honestly, I don't like his new gill. I think it's pretty, but I don't, size wise, I don't like it. Because it doesn't look like a bluegill. It looks like his shad with like a smidge taller. Um, pretty bait, but to me, it's not a great bluegill imitator. Uh, yeah, it doesn't look like if he would have used his original gill, like to me, rather than have that bait done, I would have taken my old design and just had it cleaned up because his old profile was great for his original bluegill. But not up to me. Frank, let us know what you find. Let us know what's new in the world of Northland spinnerbaits. If they've done any improvements. Maybe you can be the Northland spokesperson to bring them back to the rest of the world. Um, yeah, I mean, if you look at his shad and you look at his bluegill, I mean, there's not a whole lot of difference. Besides some face detail. Size wise, they're nearly identical. One's a little longer. So, I mean, it's basically a shad, right? I don't know. He probably needed to stretch it out so it would swim better. That was the whole thing on that. If he would have kept it short, it's not going to glide, and people aren't going to be like, ooh. So It would have been a little short glide. Jeremy, yeah, I think what's his name's doing it for him. Philip is doing his. I think Philip did his first. Philip Philip did this one. This one was 3D printed. And then I guess Philip went to work for 6th Sense, and then he did. I think while he was working at 6th Sense, he did Buka's HD gill or HD shad, and then here recently he's done BGCs. I think he's done a lot of stuff. No, it's not Jake. It's not Roe. Let's see what Philip's company's called. It's like 3D Design, 3D something. I'll find it. 3D Tech Innovations, maybe? Yeah, 3D Tech Innovations is the name. You know why? I'm trying to look something y'all might notice. See some 3D modeling. Lots of 3D modeling. 3D modeling. But most of the newer stuff, like the draw and all that kind of shit from 6th Sense, he did all that. Philip Jones is his name. Alabama guy. I used to paint swim baits for him. Still living in Texas, looks like. But yeah, I've got one of his shallow waking cranks and can't get a bite on it. The shad waking crank or the gill? If Golden Zimmerman swim baits didn't have so much history, how did I say his Gremlin gill glides are pretty nice size, almost perfect for those 4 to 5 pound fish or smallies. Yeah. The shad. That's interesting. Because I know a lot of guys have a lot of success on that bait. Not so much that one, but the deeper one. But I don't know that I see as much out of the shallow wake and crank as you do out of the real deeper version, the medium runner. I don't know. Well, dudes, I'm gonna go eat a pack of crackers. Could you tell us about the Bass Warrior guy and how nuts his pricing is for the master molds that have been out for a while now? And does he actually mold real fish, or is he like a taxidermy guy? Is that the Going Fishing Gill guy? Because when I talked to him like 5 years ago, it wasn't even 5 years ago. It was probably longer than that. It was like 6, 7, 8 years ago. But somebody told me, they were like, "Hey, this guy's trying to like get out, and he wants to sell his, bluegill bait." I was like, "All right." So I sent him a message, and I was like, "Hey, dude, I heard you're closing up shop. What are you asking for? All your stuff?" He's like, "I want 12 grand." Seems high. So I said, "How many molds is that include? Let's see, none. What do you mean none? What is $12,000 get me? And from what I recall, it got me a master, like a one-piece master. Uh, I had to make my own molds. I had to trim, cut the bait to however I saw fit to make it swim. Like, and I was thinking to myself, I was like, this is the dumbest shit ever. Because I could go have like a bluegill designed, 3D printed, the molds made for like a fraction of 12 grand. Like it'd be expensive, but it wouldn't be 12 grand. And I was talking to, I think, Ryan Thiel on here. He's like, "You ever talk to him?" I was like, "Yeah, yeah, yeah. I passed, but yeah, I didn't. That it was such a weird, like, absurd deal. I was like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. And the other thing is, what's stopping somebody if you wanted to, and the guy's like, I'm not making this anymore. Somebody could send a bait to like somebody and have it scanned and then like have it reproduced or just mold one. Like there's so many people do that for baits that are in production. Does he really think that people aren't going to rip his bait off if they want to? Rose average price is like $3,000. Oh, I don't know. I haven't talked to Jake since he was a damn college boy. I don't know what his prices are now. That wouldn't surprise me. I don't know what 3K will get you. I don't know if that's like design molds. What? I don't know what that would even get you. But I mean, if you think about it, uh, you should be able to get that. You should be able to get that 3K back pretty quick. Making baits, like 30 baits on the $100 clip. You get that recouped. Anyway, dudes. All right, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go find some food. I'm kind of hungry, and I think the bean and the baby are coming by. So I'll be babysitting. We'll see though. Yeah, 3K is not terrible. It's not like something's gonna like swamp your business to where you can't come back from it, or you're gonna have to like eat shit for the rest of the year in order to pay for it. You should be able to get. You should be able to get that paid for pretty quick. Uh, but I'm pretty sure he doesn't. He won't give you the negative of the mold, which is what I always wanted. But like he'll make you molds, but he won't sell you the negative that he makes the molds out of. So you have to go back to him for new molds. It's smart on his part, but uh, he could. You can make your own if you wanted to. Yeah, that's his moneymaker. Come back and get fresh molds because I know you're going to use them. Smart. Kid's not dumb. Not a kid anymore, but the man is not dumb. All right, y'all be good. Talk to you later. See ya.